So we're going to be talking about last night's episode of The Flash, which is the first of the two-part that continues tonight on Arrow. So if you did not see last night's episode of The Flash, there will be spoilers, and we don't want to ruin anything for you, so if you missed it, either you're cool with spoilers or you should not watch. So anyway, like I said, last night was the first of a two-parter, so we're very much in the middle of a story, which is interesting because we normally will recap last night's episode of The Flash and there's a story.
We're not used to how
and then we preview, like, here's what we think's going to happen in Arrow, but now we're right in the middle of a story.
This is the definition of a two-parter.
It's a pretty unique situation.
Like last year's crossover was like, oh, they're dealing with a Flash story, now they're dealing with an Arrow story.
They're so interwoven.
They went back and forth from Central City and Star City like
I kept losing
times.
track of where they were.
I always confused Star City and Central City. Like, I don't know, for some reason I was even confusing the characters.
Hello to our friends in Ontario and Mexico, and please send us your comments and your questions, but be aware that there's a bit of a delay, and we can't always see it, and sometimes we miss a message, so please don't get angry with us. Just, if we don't answer you and it's important, send another message. So, let's do a quick recap. We met, finally, Vandal Savage, who we've been waiting for a long time, because we've known for a long time that he would be the main villain in Legends of Tomorrow.
Very interesting technique of how he got to Central City.
Did he ship himself?
Yeah, like, there's no easier way. Does he not have, like, he's a very ancient person. Does he not have a passport?
So Vandal Savage, if you don't know, he is like 50,000 years old. He was a caveman, basically. His backstory is that back in the caveman days, there was a meteor and radiation, and he absorbed this power, and it made him immortal. And it gives him some other powers, enhanced strength and speed, and presumably intelligence.
I thought it was a great opening scene, him dealing with those guys on the docks. That it really showed off his powers very well. He was extremely fast, cocky. I'm as a Marvel guy, when I first saw him, I thought he's the somewhat equivalent of Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man.
He has that look.
He does have the look.
Casper Crump, who plays Vandal Savage, and first of all, I love the name Casper Crump. It's too bad Vandal Savage
really thought that was a comic
has a great name to begin with, because he could just go with his real name. If they ever need someone to play Kraven the Hunter in Spider-Man, he'd be fantastic.
That's a topic for another time.
I do have to say, I've been looking at his picture and thinking, wow, this guy looks like an amazing Vandal Savage for months. And I expected him to have some mean, like, Darth Vader voice, and he had, like, a very normal voice. So I'm a little disappointed that he didn't sound scarier than he is, but I'm still not disappointed overall.
Jet Jacket asks us, what is Vandal's obsession with Hawkgirl? They kind of explain that in the episode.
Yeah, but it's complicated, so we'll recap it. So basically, it all ties into Hawkman and Hawkgirl's backstory.
Hawk people.
The Hawk people. So basically, they've been reincarnated time and time again. And in every reincarnation, Vandal Savage kills them. He tracks them down and he kills them. And then it makes him stronger, like absorbs their power. It's kind of like a Highlander type thing. And so he's obsessed with Hawkgirl because that's what he does. He finds them when they're reincarnated and he kills them. And it makes him stronger each time.
And he's done it, what was the count? Was it 57?
No, it was over 200 times.
Oh, it was, okay.
Because
206, right?
Hawkman, Carter Hall, he mentions to Cisco, I know that he's going to do this because he's done it 206 times already. And Cisco's like, what makes you think that...
you can stop now that you're 0 for 206.
Which was a good point, but also Cisco was very jealous because he finally Cisco is getting a little bit of.
And I'm very interested because in every time they're like reanimated, kind of Hawkgirl and Hawkman, they're always drawn to each other, and not just like a partnership, but in a relationship, a romantic way.
Yeah, so they're soulmates.
Yeah, so it's like Cisco. We know from a fan's point of view, Cisco has like no chance.
No.
So really, poor Cisco indeed.
Cisco, you cannot get between soulmates that have been together for 4,000 years. You just can't. Yeah. I mean, you're cool. You got the fun T-shirts, but and the Princess Bride thing was a great move. I'm sorry, you just can't compete with that.
1983 LMO wants to know: is this true for comic book version
of the Hawk people?
Yeah.
The Hawk people in the comic books have even more complicated backstory because, with comic books, it's
And again,
50 or more years.
Last night we got a very little description of their backstory, and we'll probably get maybe more tonight, or if anything, just wait for Legends of Tomorrow. And we'll get the official CW.
One thing I really like about the
origin.
CW Arrow and Flash universe is that they give us just enough. They take the inspiration from the comics, but they simplify it enough that we don't have to get hung up on it. Yeah. So in the comic books, one version of the Hawk people, this is a very similar backstory where they're reincarnated time and time again. There's another one where they're aliens from the planet Thanagar and they're police officers. Like, we don't need to know that. That's not going to come up in the CW thing. If anything, if that comes up, it's going to be like a side note, like a joke or something, because that's just too complicated.
Did you do the thing?
I did. I did the
cool.
thing.
Yeah, and it's with the Hawk people. It's again aliens. Sometimes it's like their wings aren't what gives them power of flight. It's like this like alien metal in their belt that gives them like anti-gravity powers.
Basically, they told us everything we need to know last night, so that we can just kind of jump in, hang on, and
kind of just accept it for now, and maybe we'll get more description. I really had trouble with their wings though. Like, where do they disappear to?
Yeah, we've actually been debating this for months, knowing that these people were coming.
Yeah, we saw the promo picture of them standing there without their wings.
Yeah, we saw so many pictures without wings. We're like, what are they going to do?
I was like, oh, they just didn't have time to CGI it in yet.
Because you can't walk around with those things.
Yeah, it's not like in X-Men 3 Last Stand where Sam Worthington is just wearing a giant trench coat.
Yeah, so I think that the science behind the wings, I don't think they'll ever get into, but those are some pretty big wings to hide inside your back. Just saying.
The Ginga 80, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, will we see any more from the League? That reminds me of how great the League of Assassins' presence was in that episode.
So I like the Malcolm Merlin entrances.
And Barry's reaction.
But I like that they call out how ridiculous it is.
Is this how he always makes the entrance?
And of course, I mean, that's how John Barrowman enters a meeting.
Oh, and that Thea didn't know they knew the Flash.
Right.
Like, Thea's been on Team Arrow for 2 seasons now.
She's like, we know the Flash? Did I know that we knew the Flash?
We know the Flash.
So I like the way that they just kind of bring us up to speed very quickly, because we don't care. And maybe they should have mentioned to Thea long ago, and they never did. But for continuity purposes, they give us a throwaway line that happens to be funny. So that's one thing I really like about the CW's handling of these shows.
But let's jump into the Flash episode storyline, where we have Harry, Earth 2 Harry, Jay Garrick.
So I thought that it was a little weird how we have so much going on with the Team Flash, Team Arrow, and the Hawk people, and Vandal Savage, and Merlin, and, Happy and Sleepy and Dopey and Grumpy, and, like, everyone is over here. And then way back home we have Harry, Earth 2 Harrison Wells, and Caitlin on their side adventure, which was very low-key. I mean, it just felt like the lab was so empty.
I felt bad. I was like, oh, Caitlin doesn't get to be a part of the crossover.
Yeah, they get left behind. But it was important what happened, because they were working on this serum, which is called Velocity 6 is what it was called in last night's episode, because in the comics, Velocity 9 is a chemical that can give people the Speed Force power. And so obviously Velocity 6 is an earlier version of it. And so that's very important, because we know that Jay Garrick had lost his speed powers, and this is one way they could be restored. And also we know that, spoiler alert, Harrison Wells Earth 2, his daughter is Jessie Quick, who is a character from the comics and is a speedster. Although it doesn't look like she is yet.
No, she's
so presumably, whenever he comes up with the working formula for Velocity 9, that will probably be how both Jay gets his powers back and she gets powers, but we don't know that.
Yeah, and they didn't really explain to us why Jay hates Velocity 6 or 9 so much.
I just thought it was really funny that he's against performance-enhancing drugs so much.
Yeah.
Like, it must be a big scandal on Earth 2 or something.
I think I don't know much of it from the comics, but I just assume, like, it's got to have some like addictiveness to it for like.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some
Yeah.
downside, or like he's just jealous because like he had this natural power.
Yeah,
and
that's what we're asking right now. Why didn't Jay want Barry to take Velocity 6? Obviously there's got to be some dark
He's
side
really
to
hung
this.
up on it. Either
Yeah.
there's something really bad, like a bad side effect, or he's just got some kind of hang up, like I was given this gift and now you're going to bottle it and give it to everyone else. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what makes you special, you probably wouldn't be happy if now everyone can be special too. Because
But
what's
I
that
thought
make you?
Harry too had a very good point. He's like, your powers came from me in my
Right.
lab.
It came from science, and that's like a philosophical medical thing that goes all the way back to antibiotics, and our antibiotics against the big plan, and like science versus faith. And so it's just kind of that. It's just that instead of being real world medicine, it's comic book speed powers in a bottle.
We're pushing the deep metaphors on this show.
So, but that was fun, and Patty makes an entrance.
Patty did not give Harry a chance.
No, and it's funny because everyone that meets the Earth 2 Harrison Wells immediately wants to shoot the guy.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. He's just got that kind of face.
And everyone's like, people have been there to stop them. But
And this time nobody's home, and Patty's just like, she goes right into it. And I have to say, somebody was bound to shoot him eventually. I'm glad that it wasn't fatal, though, because I really love Tom Cavanaugh. Yeah, and the Jay thing was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. There's going to be more to that story.
Let's jump into Ollie's big discovery.
Right. So it's fun. At the end of this episode, Oliver is in Jitters in Central City, and he sees a woman that looks familiar, and she sees he sees that she has a child, a little boy, and he might have noticed a resemblance. Because if you...
Well, he recognizes the woman.
He recognizes the woman. Does he see a resemblance in the boy? Because we've known for a while that before Oliver's shipwreck, he had impregnated this girl in Starling City at the time. And then his mother, Oliver's mother, in season 2, I believe, basically paid her off. Like, say that you had a miscarriage, disappear to Central City, make the problem go away. And so Oliver has never known that he actually has a son. But I think he might have figured it out. It's like you can almost see him doing the math. Like, hey, I know you. Hey, you look about 9 years old. Wait a second.
I mean, fans have been asking us about this for the longest time.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this because in the comic books, Oliver's son becomes Connor Hawke, who takes over as the Green Arrow at one point. But it has been revealed that Connor Hawke will be in the show at some point, but I think that they're making it different. Like, it's not, his son doesn't become Connor Hawke, so it's another CW Liberty.
Okay, it's like Speedy and Speedy.
Yeah, so I don't know where they're going to take this thing with his son. I mean, with the Legends of Tomorrow time travel thing, theoretically, they could make it so his son, and when he's older, comes back in time. I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that because it just becomes so complicated.
But speaking of Legends of Tomorrow, it's just this whole episode was pretty much about Legends of Tomorrow.
It was like a pilot episode for Legends of Tomorrow.
We got a trailer.
Yeah, and we saw a great trailer.
I really enjoyed it.
CW's been pushing hard this Legends of Tomorrow thing, and this crossover between Flash and Arrow, they've been building towards since the beginning of the season for both shows. And so I feel like it's all very strategic. They want us to get into Legends of Tomorrow well before it launches. And I think it's working, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks great. The promos look great. You're going to see all these characters that we know from the other shows that we really like.
And we're going to find characters like Sarah. We don't know where they went to now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how they gave the new Firestorm duo and Sarah so much attention, and then they just kind of pushed them to the side.
Same with Ray.
But Ray's still floating around. That's recent. It's a little weird he wasn't on last night, though.
Yeah.
But it's like, how many characters can you really fit on screen?
And they really focused on like the Flash side characters, like Caitlin, Harry.
Maybe we'll see Ray tonight.
Exactly. Maybe we'll see Ray tonight.
And maybe we'll see Sarah tonight. I don't know.
They said they were going to see Laurel, who was visiting her mom in Central City.
Yeah, so we will see some Black Canary action.
But the budget for Legends of Tomorrow in that trailer looked insane. Like,
yeah.
CW
And
really.
so there's of course, even before the show premieres, there's all these rumors like what's going to happen in season 2, because we have a good sense of season 1. And I've heard a couple things. I've heard that they might set this up sort of as an anthology, so that in season 1 of Legends of Tomorrow, Rip Hunter puts together this team to take down Vandal Savage, but maybe in season 2 there's a whole new mission, like something else, and it could be a whole new cast of characters.
Okay, that's cool.
And I've also read rumors that, like, okay, this show is too expensive. There might not even be a season 2. So I don't want to worry anyone, but it looks like a very expensive show. So
I wouldn't mind.
It's going to have to get huge ratings, I think.
I wouldn't mind if they did a season and then a movie. Because movie budget, you can go all out for.
They could do just like, almost like what they did last night and tonight, where it's a 2-parter, where they could do like a Legends of Tomorrow miniseries. I don't know. I mean, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, it's not.
There's also the rumors Constantine will join Legends of Tomorrow in season 2.
If possible.
And if there's a new story that's very, I don't know.
Yeah, we will give you a whole show on what Legends of Tomorrow is capable of.
I do. I want, and I haven't told you yet. There's a rumor.
I'm surprised.
There's a rumor of a new CW DC show, and
Can I guess?
And go ahead and guess, because
is it a character we've seen before?
It would be a character we've seen before in comic books, obviously, but not on the CW. Not in live action, really. Sort of. Can you think of a DC show that would make sense on CW that we haven't seen yet?
And it would be in the same universe as all those?
Set in the same universe. And all the rumors are swirling around it. Okay, I'll tell you.
Aquaman?
It's not Aquaman. Aquaman is going to be on the big screen. It's not Green Lantern, because, I mean, talk about killing budgets. Green Lantern would kill a budget in one episode.
Yeah.
It's Nightwing.
Nightwing, okay.
And Nightwing, if you don't know, is Dick Grayson, who was Bruce Wayne Batman's ward. And he grows up to become Nightwing, and he moves to a city called Bloodhaven, and he becomes, like, you know, the Batman of Bloodhaven. And so there's been a lot of rumors, not even a lot of rumors, but there's been persistent rumors for a while that this might be coming to TV. And I was on CW Fan Talk last night. And
he's a celebrity.
And yeah, for all of you who were watching, I was on CW Fan Talk, and they were talking about introducing other characters, like what DC characters would you like to see in the CW universe? And somebody mentions Oracle, and the host said, oh, well, we might actually see her in another show. And what makes more sense than...
my thought would be Gotham.
But, no, they meant on CW.
They meant on CW?
From what they were saying, they meant CW. So, I don't know, because that becomes complicated. It's like, if they don't introduce Batman into the world, how can they effectively introduce Nightwing?
Yeah.
It's like Nightwing is such a part of... His backstory is basically being Robin. So I don't know from a story perspective how they can possibly introduce Nightwing without Batman, because they cannot introduce Batman because both Gotham is on TV and Ben Affleck is Batman, so they're trying to keep away from that. But I'm just saying, there's rumors floating around that there's a new DC CW show in the works.
Hey,
and
their entire slate is going to be superheroes.
Yeah, but it's getting ratings.
Yeah.
And
there's a superhero channel.
Do you think that Green Lantern will be shown at a point, given the fact that we were introduced to Ferris? We weren't just introduced to Ferris. There's been hints of Green Lantern for a while now. Whenever we saw... Which episode was it? Was it the Constantine episode? I don't think it was. There was an episode...
I'm confused as to who Ferris is.
Ferris Air is from Green Lantern.
Okay.
And... so there's an episode, I think it was the premiere. It was the season premiere, season 4 premiere of Arrow, where Oliver is in Coast City. And he's in this bar, and there's a guy you see from, like, the jacket down, right? He's in like a bomber jacket, like a pilot's jacket. And he's got a name tag that says Jordan. And all you see is the name tag and the jacket. Hal Jordan, right? Clearly they were telling us that's Hal Jordan. And... so the answer is, do you think Green Lantern will be shown at any point? He already has been shown, but that doesn't mean they're going to do anything with it. because
they just love the Easter eggs.
It's complicated, and I think they're trying to save Green Lantern for the movies because it is such a big epic story. And even though the Ryan Reynolds movie came out and flopped, I think they're saving him for the movies. So I think we'll continue to get lots of hints because Green Lantern and Green Arrow have such a great backstory. They're going to keep doing that to us, but I would be surprised if we actually see someone with the Green Lantern ring.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine Arrow getting into alien stuff.
No, it's like...
I mean, yeah, we're in, like, mystics.
But they've eased us into it, because Arrow very much in the beginning was just, like, vigilantes.
Yeah.
And then it was... they introduced metahumans, and then they get deep into, like...
League of Assassins.
And now they're getting into mysticism with
so I guess the next step is aliens, or extraterrestrial.
So Arrow in Space, Season 5.
Okay.
Cool. If you had any other questions, send them to us quickly. And
we're going to wrap up with what we plan to expect in tonight's episode.
Real quick, I want to address the rumors of a crossover between The Flash and Supergirl. So Supergirl and The Flash share an executive producer. So whenever Supergirl was introduced on CBS, the rumor was immediately, will there be a crossover? And there were promotional pictures with both Supergirl and Flash
them, right?
and Greg Berlanti. And the rumor was that if Supergirl got an extended season pickup from CBS, they would have, I think it's like 7 more episodes where they could introduce more stories, and that the Flash would be introduced. But that rumor was just shot down. CBS just picked up Supergirl for more episodes, so that's happening. But the producers shot down the rumor that we would see the Flash and Supergirl, at least this season. So if we do get a crossover, it's going to be a multiverse story, because in the Supergirl story, Superman exists, and in the CW universe, Superman does not exist. So those are two very different environments. The world is a different place if Superman is in it than if he's not. Just like the world's a very different place if Batman's in it and it's not with the Nightwing story. So we'll see how that's handled.
We'll take it one step at a time.
One step at a time. So, tonight's episode. Then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, it's the part 2 of last night's. I hope we get more Hawk people. Description. I just want to know, like, I want Cisco to address where their wings go to, or something.
I like how they have these throwaway lines, because all the questions, like, wait a second, does Thea even know the Flash? And then they address that. If Cisco has a funny joke that's just like, hey, wait a second, where do your wings go?
Yeah. Because definitely Cisco is going to be a big part of this episode. Yeah. Him and Kendra's relationship.
Cisco was like the superstar of last night's episode. He had all the best lines, which he normally does. But
also, something about last night's episode, if it wasn't for Barry, Oliver would be dead at the hands of...
Yeah, Oliver was kind of...
He was about to die.
He was mean to Barry, and it's like, your life force was being sucked out of you, dude.
Yeah, I was like, how is... I don't know. I didn't expect that Damien Dark would get to Oliver that quickly.
No, but I love the Damien Dark part of last night's episode, because...
I hope there's more Damien Dark in this.
Yeah, I thought, out of all the times we've seen Damien Dark, ironically, I think that the best scene so far was last night's episode, which was an episode of The Flash.
Yeah.
So, I was very excited
I would expect Damien Dark and Savage to at least know each other somehow.
Well, I'm sure there's a backstory there, but because Merlin knows about
Merlin knows.
Vandal Savage.
Okay.
So cool. Green Arrow is mean.
I don't think we'll see Caitlin tonight. I think it's going to be focused more on the Team Arrow side, with the exception of Barry and
They
Cisco.
had their story, and I doubt we'll see Caitlin tonight.
Maybe there'll be more about Oliver's kid, but
it feels like there's a lot to jam into this 2 hours already. I'm surprised they even acknowledged the Oliver's kid thing, the storyline.
I mean, they first introduced the fact that I forget the girl's name, who's the mother of the kid, but they first introduced that she was in Central City last crossover, when they're like back at Jitters, and like Oliver sees her. And then, like, they talk for a little bit, and then, like, she walks away.
At this rate, the next year's crossover will be when Oliver's giving child support.
Yeah. Hopefully he has money by then.
More action, hopefully Zoom. I doubt we'll get into Zoom.
I would like
tonight.
more Dark, Damien Dark and Savage.
I hope we see more Dark. We'll definitely see more Vandal Savage.
We will. Oh, we didn't get to see Flash with those weird gloves.
That'll be tonight.
That'll be tonight.
Because also there was one of the early promotional pictures of the two-parter. There's like everyone in costume: Hawkgirl, Hawkman, the Flash, and Arrow, and everyone. And the Flash has these weird gloves on, which clearly have something to do with the story. I don't know how they win tonight. But spoiler alert: they'll probably win, or at least not lose, because we know they all live to fight another day. And
I guess you owe me money because we got the question again.
Who do you think is dead at the beginning of this season?
Every episode we get this question. I still have no more hints as to who it could be.
Yeah, at the beginning of this season, we saw that there's Oliver's in a graveyard, and he's at a tombstone, and Barry comes and like says, "Oh well, sorry, glad I could be here. I got to split. I'm fighting Zoom. You're fighting Damien Dark. Good luck. Good talk."
I think my guess is right now is Captain Lance.
They're hinting that it was Felicity. Like all the clues are but it seems maybe too obvious.
I can't even think of that.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it could be somebody tonight, because it seems like they're going to continue that story, and they're not because they mention, okay, you got to go fight Damien Dark, I got to go fight Zoom, so we know that it's not the very, very end of the season. We know it's probably close to the end of the season when this happens. So someone says, I think it's Speedy.
Ooh.
It could be. Yeah, another one that could be Thea. Absolutely could
Every
be.
Speedy has to
the
die
sun,
on the show.
The sun.
Wow.
Collateral damage.
Somehow Damien Dark finds out, kills them both.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't think of that. Good job, Bush Wookie. Bush Wookiees.
All right, and we got through an entire episode without anyone asking us who Zoom is. So I'm going to end the broadcast. Talk to us next week.